Okay, good day, guys. Good day to you all. Welcome back to the Formula Sports channel. Thanks for being here. A gentle reminder, as always, to please like the video and subscribe to the channel, as it is indeed a free way to support the channel. So, guys, unfortunately, we have to talk about what took place last night. Um, very embarrassing, very embarrassing. To have a Japan U24 team wipe the floor with a Reggae Boy senior team. Even though it wasn't a full strength senior team, it's still embarrassing, right? It wasn't a full strength senior team, but it was still embarrassing nonetheless. When that scoreline goes all over the world, you know. I mean, probably only Jamaicans will know that it wasn't our full strength team. The rest of the world would just say Japan U24 4 and Jamaica nil, right? So, I almost contemplated not doing, well, I was rather contemplating not doing this particular video because, with, when the Egyptians, back in the day when the Egyptians, they would not, when they went to war and they lost, they would not document it in their history books, right? Because they for them it's almost as if it didn't happen. They didn't want to document it in their history, right? To preserve the greatness of the empire. But so that was part of my thinking. But a number of other YouTubers talking about it. So I mean, I guess the embarrassment is already documented in a number of places, right? The plain and simple truth is that we were not good enough, right? We were not good enough. Again, the middle of the park is a problem for us. It is a problem for us, man. It is a problem for us, and one that we need to try and see how best we can rectify it going forward. Whether it's English born player or it is trying to find a makeshift that can work, like what we tried to do the other day with Damian Lowe. I don't know, but we need to find personnel in the middle of the park. I mean, look, it wasn't our full strength squad and a number of our more attacking minded midfielders, like for instance Daniel Johnson or Bobby Reed or Leon Bailey, they weren't in it. Right, but my thing is, and I mean, I guess Daniel Johnson can also play in a deeper role as well. But my thing is that, we desperately need to find two solutions, both a starter and a backup to the CDM position. Right, that I think was very obvious in this particular game. When I was watching the game, I saw Jerome Waite, pacing back and forth on the sideline. I would love to know where was Theodore Tapper Whitmore and what was the issue there. What was the issue there? What was this? What were these respective? Was the instructions coming from Jerome Waite, right? Or was it a case that Tapper wasn't there but he left the instructions with Jerome Waite? Right? I don't know, but for me personally, I think that I don't know if it's a case that we underestimated this Japan U24 team or what. But in my humble estimation, I think we tried to play a more attacking minded game. And the fact of the matter is that we didn't have the personnel to do it. Right? You cannot try and play a more attacking game. Right? And you don't have, to play a more attacking game, you need players that can move the ball quickly through the respective thirds, and you need players that can hold possession of the ball for long periods, right? We didn't have that. The only decent midfielder in the middle of the park in the game was Ravel, right? We didn't have that. The attackers just were poor. The midfield and the attack was just poor, man. It was just poor. We couldn't build anything out from the back, right? And we should have probably guessed that we could not, or we it was going to be difficult to build from the back, and hence play a more defensive minded setup and have more players back behind the ball, right? Because it was just a shambles. It was just a shambles. I did a video last night where I was saying, the general perception of the Japan U24 team seems to be that we should beat this team easily because they are basically kids, right? And I was making the point that out of the starting 11, the Japan U24 starting 11 that played Ghana, right? 6 of them were starters for clubs in top 5 leagues in Europe, right? And I was making that point on, or get regular, very regular game time for their clubs in Europe, right? And, I don't know if we underestimated this team, but, they walked over us, man. Going forward, look, it was hard to see sometimes because it was just so disorganized, right? The whole performance was just so disorganized. But from what I saw, most of the times we were playing with a 4-1-4-1 and also a 4-3-3. Right? I saw that as well. But in my opinion, I more saw 4-1-4-1. That is what I saw. I don't know if we were going, between formations. Right? I honestly don't know what was taking place because my thing is you normally see the teams, have play with a particular formation on the ball and play with another particular formation off the ball. Right? None of those two formations that I saw, none of them were defensive minded formations. They were both attacking minded formations. Right? That requires players who are good technically, who have good technical ability to be able to, one, hold the ball, and two, move the ball very quickly, right? And move it through the respective thirds, right? You can't play those two formations if you don't have the quality to do so, in my opinion, right? I mean, it could potentially be a recipe for disaster, especially the 4-1-4-1. If you look at the last 2 goals, right? If you look at the last 2 goals, right? It was 4-1-4-1 off the ball, right? The last goal, we lost possession of it, and we were building out from the back, trying to get an attack going, lost possession of it, and the Japanese transitioned very quickly, right? And they evaded the initial press with the midfield line of 4, and there was just a lot of space to exploit, right? The third goal as well, it came off of a throw-in, and the team was in a 4-1-4-1 formation, and the midfielder was behind the Japan midfielder was behind, picked up the ball behind our midfield 4, our midfield 4, our midfield line of 4 players, right? And there was just a lot of space and there was no one closing him down. And then obviously he brought the fullback into the play. The Japanese player brought the fullback into the play. I think it was the fullback, the left fullback, and we were punished and nobody was tracking his run either. I think, let me tell you what it is. I think it's a mixture of, the formation was poor, the players in the middle of the park was poor, and also we were disorganized, right? We were disorganized. The whole thing was just a shambles, man. I don't know what to say, man. I honestly don't know what to say, right? The first goal we conceded, right? They were sleeping on the throw-in. And then Tilt showed Kuba on his stronger left foot to cut inside to take the shot, right? I mean, the second goal, it appeared as if we were in a 4-3-3, trying to build out from the back, right? And We lost possession of the ball and the Japanese caught us in transition. Right? So, I mean, I don't know. The whole thing was just a shambles, man. The whole thing was just a shambles. Regarding the 4-1-4-1, I don't know if they were trying to do a high press and use a higher line of confrontation, right, with the midfield four. Something a little bit similar to the 3-4-3 that we played against the Serbians with the midfield line of four. The difference though is that one, the makeup of the Serbian midfield four, the midfield four that we played against Serbia, the makeup was different, right? There were a lot more defenders in that midfield four. So a lot of the times the Serbians found themselves running into a brick wall, especially in the first half, right? And secondly, there was not as much space in between the midfield line as the back line as there was in this particular game. So in the Serbian game, there was not a lot of space between the midfield line of four and the back line of three. But in this particular game, a lot of the times when we were in the 4-1-4-1, I think that was the main formation that was used. A lot of the times what I saw was that we were trying to build out from the back. We were losing possession of the ball because to play that formation, you need players who are good on the ball, right? The Japanese caught us in transition and there were too many players on the wrong side of the ball, right? And a lot of space to exploit in front of the back line, right? So, that was the formation that I mostly saw, the 4-1-4-1, but I did also see 4-3-3 as well. And as I say, man, if they were trying to, if whoever was in charge of was in charge of whoever was coaching this team, Waiter or Tapa, right? If they were trying to use a higher line of confrontation, right? They just got it wrong in terms of the 4-1-4-1 because, as I said, man, there was not as in the Serbian game with the 3-4-3, there was not a lot of space between, in my opinion, between the midfield line of four and the defensive line of three. But in this particular game, with the 4-1-4-1, there was acres of space between the midfield, the defensive line of four and the midfield line of four, because a lot of the times Kevin Lambert was the only one occupying, this vast amount of space, right? And I mean, he couldn't handle the press. He couldn't evade the press because at this level, I mean, I don't mean to be offensive to the player, but it's just facts at this level, in my opinion, he has not proven himself to be that good on the ball to be able to handle the press, right? And, if he didn't lose the ball, the midfield line of four in front of him lost the ball, and there was just a lot of space for them to exploit, right? I don't know, man. I'm struggling to even, wrap my head around all of this, man. It was after a while, it just became hard to watch, man. We just were walked off the park, and the personnel used was just not good enough, man. Especially in the midfield, right? I don't know. I don't know who was responsible for the respective formations. I don't know who was responsible for the respective team selection. Why they use this respective team selection and these respective formations. I don't know, man. I don't know. This whole thing was just a shambles. And it was an embarrassment, and whoever was responsible for it, right? I mean, the players were responsible for it, and the coach was responsible for it as well. My thing is, which coach was it? That's the question I want to have answered, because my thing, this didn't feel like Tapa, in my opinion. Tapa usually ensures, from what I've seen, right? Tapa usually ensures that we have a solid defensive structure and we build from that. I didn't see that in this Japan game at all. Tapa usually ensures that we are very well organized defensively and we build from that. I did not see that in this game at all. So, I seriously have to ask the question, who was the coach? We saw Jerome Waite on the touchlines. I never saw we saw Jerome Waite, pacing back and forth, looking as if he was the one responsible for this game. I never saw Tapa not once, whether sitting on the sidelines or standing on in the they have the area where the coaches stand and walk on the sidelines. So I don't know, man. All I know is that we were embarrassed by a U24 team. We were walked off the park by a U24 team, right? The personnel was wrong. The personnel wasn't good enough. The formation was wrong. The whole thing was just disorganized and just in shambles. And we were playing a team that was a very good team on paper, and two, you could clearly see that these players have been playing for a while, and also they have a system where they know where each, when you look at the patterns of play, right, you could tell that the Japanese players knew where they were supposed to be at all times. They were moving the ball so quickly, right, getting into respective space so quickly. You could tell they knew where they were supposed to be and what they were supposed to be doing at all times. So I don't know, man. We need to get our act together. Look how we were flying high off of the Serbia game, and then this game come and just brought us back down to earth, man. It was an embarrassment. Losing 4-0 to a U24 team, and in all honesty, it should have been worse. Right, they hit the post like 2-3 times, I believe. Right, it was just an utter embarrassment, man, and after a while it was just so hard to watch, man. It was a shame and it was a shambles, man. Right, if this is what we're going into the Gold Cup, man, and just all over the place. Preparation just all over the place. I don't know, man. Hopefully we can get our act together, man. Right, but that's my 2 cents, guys. Stay safe, take care, and until next time.